Production begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to United Way Update. I'm Vicki Mealy, Outreach and Communications Manager for United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore. Our guest for today's show is our Community Impact Committee Chair and Board Member, Jim Hartstein. Jim, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me this morning.
Well, we're so happy to have you. So for those of you in the audience, if you don't know Jim, why don't we hear a little bit about you and, where you're from and your business?
Be happy to. Thank you. So I was born and raised in Laurel, Delaware. Lived there all my life until graduating from high school and went on to Elon University. I had the opportunity to study finance down there, and when I finished up at Elon, I came to work in the family business. We have, it's called the insurance market. We have 4 offices in Sussex County and 1 in Wycomico County, insurance brokerage, commercial, home, auto, life, health, the whole 9 yards. So still very much a family-owned business. I believe I work with 7 family members currently. So a lot of fun, but also makes for interesting Thanksgiving sometimes. So in my personal life, I live here in Salisbury with my wife Brandy and our 2 young children. I have a son named James who's 3 and a daughter Morgan who's will be a year at the end of this month.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, in your own words, what is United Way?
Sure, yeah. I believe that the United Way truly is the conduit between our community and the not-for-profit world. I believe that that the United Way is an incredibly valuable resource. I mean, the one thing that, so we've all heard the United Way brand, the United Way International brand, and there are about 1,400 independently operated United Ways. Our local United Way, and I very much emphasize the local portion of it because 100% of all the donations stay right here in our community, which is vital. The United Way, other than government, is the largest not-for-profit funder in our area. And aside from the funding, I believe that our United Way truly does epitomize the word partner with the agencies that we work with. I think we are able to, not only bring funds and resources, but also bring our partner agencies, some expertise in the operation of a not-for-profit and how that side works. So we're able to make connections between the community and the not-for-profit community, and then also make connections within the not-for-profit community. One of the things I love the most about the community impact process, which we'll get to soon, but is that element of meeting with one agency, and we hear about a program that they have, but so and so's doing that over here that may be complementary. So able to make those connections, I think, is kind of sums it up. Not so many words.
Well, good. So how did you become involved with United Way?
My involvement with United was very fortuitous. It just so happened that at that time she was my girlfriend at that time, but my wife and I we had opened the office in Salisbury and had said that we wanted to become more involved. Through college and even after college, I was pretty involved with the not-for-profit community by example of my parents, and we said we wanted to become involved. At that time, Amy Luppins, who's the assistant director of the agency, she and my wife went to high school together, and Amy had reached out to us and said that they were starting a Young Leaders Society, which was focused for young professionals to become more involved in the agency and learn more about the agency. So we started doing that process, working through that. When I'm on boards, I've got a way of I like to voice my opinion. So I think then I kind of talked my way onto the board of directors, and from there, very thankful that the staff and the leadership of the agency has just given me a lot of opportunities to kind of work inside the agency of the United Way, and really I feel like I know the operations pretty well.
Why do you believe so much in the United Way?
Well, our United Way just embodies some characteristics that I value not only in my personal life but in my professional life as well. Every event, every process, every system that I've been involved with in this agency has just exuded the highest level of professionalism, transparency, and compassion while remaining focused on the mission, the objective, what we're trying to accomplish at hand. So I feel very blessed for the opportunities that I've had to work with this agency because, and feel like I've given a lot of time to the agency, but I've received in both personal and professional development so much more than the time that I've given, and that's really meant a lot to me. But the agencies they do everything first class, and I appreciate that very, very much.
We've talked a lot about the serious business of United Way.
Right.
But we have a lot of really fun events
Sure.
and things going on. So
Right.
can we talk a little bit about those things as well?
Absolutely, yeah. That's what keeps me coming back. No, no, but there are a ton of tremendous events, and we're able to keep things light and keep things fun throughout the year by way of that. I think truly the staple of events as far as United Way goes is the Holiday Ball, which comes up the first week in December. It's hard to believe we're already thinking about that now, getting ready for that now. But there's also the the Preakness Palooza, which is obviously the day of the Preakness. The last couple of years it's been an evolution brewing here in Salisbury, and then the Cornhole Tournament. We're right around the corner from the Cornhole Tournament. That's going to be held at the Shorebirds. I believe it's September 10th.
The 10th,
is kind of the date that sticks out.
Yes.
So, and I could do that without looking at my calendar, which
That's good.
so September 10th for that, and then there's Frisbee golf. But like I said, there's multiple events throughout the year where we can help point folks in the direction of a Chesapeake Housing Mission rent build. Yeah, I know you mentioned you have one coming up this weekend. So that kind of thing it makes it enjoyable. It's not all the business of reviewing numbers and analytics, but more the experience throughout with the partners.
And there's also that, there's the fundraising aspect to some of the events, but there's also just that great networking feel. I mean, so many, with our emerging leaders, that's a networking group for young professionals, but a lot of our other events that we do, it's a great way to meet other business people in your area as well, that are like-minded, that want to help the community.
And that's there's certainly an aspect to that, but I can say our practice has been growing very significantly on Maryland's Eastern Shore for the last few years, and I believe that's in direct correlation with the time that we've spent with the United Way and some of the connections and relationships that we've been able to foster because of that. So absolutely, the network element is fun, but putting on a tux and going to the Holiday Ball is fun too. It's nice to get cleaned up. So, but absolutely, yeah, the events are fantastic, and you do get to meet a lot of like-minded folks, which is enjoyable, very much so.
So Jim, how's your cornhole game?
My cornhole game is solid. I think where I've faltered in the past is I've not picked the best partners. So I perform very, very well. You're only as good as your weakest link, so I just need to do a better job recruiting partners, I think.
That's true. You don't want to be my partner then. You don't want to play with me.
You got it.
You mentioned our emerging leaders. Right. Who are our emerging leaders, and who are we looking to recruit to join up?
If I had to classify an emerging leader, I'd do it like this. I'd say it's a younger person or younger at heart that is looking to become more involved in the community. That has a civic, civic focus, but also is interested in meeting new people, maybe expanding their social network and doing it for a good cause at the same time. They come from all types of professions, and one thing that group has done a fantastic job of is having a variety of events. They've had some things at Headquarters Live where they've had some bands, and very thankful for the folks at Headquarters who were able to help us out with that. There's a Christmas in July event which is coming up at the Elks Club at their pool this year, which is going to be a lot of fun. So again, keeping that special event focus. They've also done some giving projects as well. I know there's been some projects around Christmas time with the Village of Hope. They interacted there, and then in the past we had done a Valentine's Day carnival, which was for some at-risk youth, and a tremendous amount of fun. I remember coming home from the first Valentine's carnival a few years ago with my wife and just saying, I'm whooped, but that was a lot of fun. You know what I mean? The kids ran around and had a great time. So continuing to have events like that, and then exposing those young folks to the not-for-profit world, how the board mechanism works. And then, as I've told many of our partners in the past, if you're looking for board members, a lot of agencies are looking for younger board members. That's a great place to start because these folks already, one, have that experience, and then two, have that civic focus. So that'd be a good place to look.
Mm-hmm. And as chair of the Community Impact Committee for this campaign season that's just wrapping up, I'm sure you're relieved that process is over with. A lot of, and we do it every year, but there's a lot of hours that go into making the funding decisions and working with the different partners. So can you explain for some of our viewers what that process involves?
Yeah. Well, I can say that relief is probably twofold. The agencies that we work with are probably relieved that it's over as well, because it is an exhaustive process, and the application process alone is very involved. But we believe that level of involvement, that level of detail is vital to the integrity of the process, really. But essentially the process works with, in the spring, agencies will be invited to apply for funding. Now, it's important to know that the funding is zero-based funding, which means it's very much an annual event. You have to reapply every year. Pam Gregory in our office does a fantastic job of championing that process and collecting the data and working with the partner agencies to facilitate the information necessary. From there, there's a deadline on when the agency applications have to be in, and then we'll begin site visits. Usually it's 3 to 4 to 5 people that are members of our community impact process. There's about 30 folks that sit on that board. We'll go out and begin doing site visits with partner agencies. We'll discuss financial notes, operational notes, how the programs work. That's one of the things I think it's important to remember when you look at the CIC process, is that it's very much focused on the program, not necessarily the agency. So there may be an agency that's applying for 6 programs, and we look at each one of those in a vacuum. Also, the funds that are distributed through the CIC process are very much earmarked for those particular programs that they're awarded to. But we'll do the site visits, and we'll go through, work with the agencies, learn more about them. Usually there's a tour, so we can get a good feel for the facility. Sometimes we'll work with some of the recipients, some of the programs that are being funded, and again, managerial discussions, financial discussions, operational discussions. And then from there, each team will come back and they'll file a report. The process kind of culminates the first Thursday and Friday in June, when everybody gets together. That's the 30-person team, and we begin to discuss the site visits, what we saw, how we felt, some things that we need to be aware of. That process, you use the word relief, but that process, it is a long 2 days. I think we were there until about 5:30 this last time on Friday, but it is hands down one of the most rewarding processes I've ever been involved in. From a not-for-profit standpoint, absolutely. But what we'll do is we'll go through, we'll discuss each agency, their application, how we felt about the programs, and then we'll begin the voting process. And then from there, at the end of Friday, we'll have some numbers, okay, that we're prepared to reward, and then with that, recommendations and commendations will begin to be drafted, and then usually around this time, around the middle of July, the agencies are notified about their funding, which will begin 1/1/2017 in this case. So it's a good process. I enjoy it. It is a lot of work, but it's always one of those at the end of the week where you're very excited, very, very happy for the impact we're able to make. I can say, since we've been involved, and I've learned the CIC kind of back and front, that I know my giving has gone up tremendously, because one of the things I love the most about the process is the level of professionalism, the level of attention to detail, and the fact that there is not a dollar that doesn't come through that process that isn't highly vetted. And I know that because I've been able to be a part of it, and thankfully so.
Right, and as a newer employee, this was my first time actually seeing the process too.
Sure.
And it was just amazing to kind of see the diversity of people that sat around that table to make those decisions. I mean, we had people from all different professions, and just how well the chemistry of everyone working together. It was really heartwarming to see, everyone having these discussions that were so important.
And again, that money is it's taken very, very seriously, as you were able to see. One other thing that's always been interesting to me is the different members. We all come from, like you said, different walks of life, different professions. We've all had different life experiences, and you may have different areas of need that strike a chord with different folks, and then so you have very much the emotional element to the giving and the belief in the programs, but then the analytical side, which being a finance guy and a numbers guy, that being a nerd, that kind of excites me. But you have very much the analytical side, so it's a mixture of the two that I think is done and orchestrated very, very well.
And so we had some new agencies apply, and since our funding letters have gone out this week, we can start talking about them. It's been so hard to keep it a secret. But so we had some new agencies apply and some new programs.
Yep.
Can we talk a little bit about those? Maybe we don't have to go through all of them, but
sure.
Yeah,
Be happy to. And for this, because one of the many blessings that we've been able to have as a United Way is that our campaign has been increasing every year. I mean, this year we're going to award to the tune of about $1.4 million going back into the community, which is a 14% increase. So because of that, I'm going to have to reference my notes here, so excuse me. But yeah, we very thankful to have 4 new agencies that came aboard. Apologize, 5 new agencies. The Garland Hayward Youth Center down in Princess Anne, they're doing a fantastic job with some of the youth down there. Lower Shore Enterprises, who are very excited to have back on board, as they're now an affiliate member. Affiliate members are still very much partners and considered part of the United Way family. The difference with an affiliate is they receive designations directly from the donors. Maryland Food Bank, we're also very thankful to have them on as an affiliate. And then Easter Seals and Movable Feast. Movable Feast is they're doing some home meal delivery, for some critically ill folks who don't have access to proper nutrition. And from a measurable standpoint, from an accountability standpoint, fantastic organization, and one that it happens every year, but there's usually a group that comes back from a new site visit and says, wow, there's some folks doing a great job, and Movable Feast was absolutely one of those this year. So we're very thankful to have them on board, and then we're very blessed that some of the agencies we work with were able to expand some of their programs. Horizons has a new high school program, which we're very excited to see because they've had a ton of success in theirs. And Diaconia rolled out 2 new programs in their emergency food and the homeless. And these are new programs for us, not for those agencies. And then Seton Center, Worcester Youth and Family, and Telemon are all expanding programs that we're able to fund too. So that part has been a lot of fun, not only to bring on new partners, but also help strengthen existing bonds with past partners as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a prospective agency that's never worked with us before, what are the requirements for them to be a partner of ours?
Okay. Well, first, obviously, there's the application process, and as I said, it is a lengthy process. There's a lot of things that come into play, but they must be a 501c3. They also, which obviously is the not-for-profit tax organization, the structure around that. But then the most important thing is that they have to fit. Their program has to fit into one of 3 buckets: health, education, or financial stability. Oftentimes there will be a program that may fit in multiple buckets. I mean, the argument could be said that, if we're have an education-focused program, that's also creating financial stability down the road. But through the guidance of the agency, if you have a question, if you're a not-for-profit who's looking for that kind of assistance, please give the office a call. We'll be happy to tell you which bucket we think would be best. Then they also have to be operating in our service area, which is Wycomico, Worcester, Dorchester, and Somerset counties. So, and like I said, just being available, being able to work with us, being able to adhere to the application process. And then as they go forward, we're always looking for agencies that very much embrace that partnership mentality. I think I'm a firm believer that all ships rise in high tide. And that we can all have better organizations if we partner together. That's really where we're able to be strong.
And another another important requirement is that they have to be able to demonstrate measurable outcomes with their programs. And so that leads me into my next question. We have just recently, in our new strategic plan, required the measurement of KPIs, key performance indicators.
Right.
And so can you talk a little bit about how our KPIs play into our decision making for funding and agency partners?
I'd be happy to, yeah. So I mentioned to you, there's the during the application, there's the emotional side of it, right, which is easy to see because we all love helping people. But there's also the analytical side of it, and that's when we get down to, for every $1 given to this program, what are the outcomes that we can expect? And that's where I believe that there's a level of stewardship there and a level of accountability, stewardship on behalf of the donors and then accountability to the donors that is vital. But to answer your question, yes, KPI is a key performance indicator. Basically, the need for KPIs are typically attached with a strategic plan, and the need for a KPI, I think, was put very well by my friend Memo Derricker when Memo was helping us through the strategic plan, and he said, we need to have KPIs so we don't create a strategic plan and then let it sit on the shelf forever. We have metrics, things that we're tracking to make sure that we're moving along those lines. Not only for our agency, we have in our strategic plan very, very specific KPIs, but then also for our partners. How are you tracking this? How do we know we're trending? I know I can see it in my professional life too. It's very easy to come in every day and get lost in the weeds, but to be able to keep an eye of where we're going and how we're going to get there is vital.
In addition to the funding awards, from our campaign, we also received some funding from anonymous donors, and it's an amazing grant. And
Pennies from heaven, right?
Yeah, and so we have some other programs that are gonna be grant funded with that income. Can we talk about that?
I can. If anybody knows who that anonymous grant came from, thank you very, very much. No, it is one of those things that was an incredibly pleasant surprise. But thankfully, everything done at the United Way is done with such professionalism, which is one of the many reasons why I love working with the agency, that we were prepared to think through the process of how we're going to distribute this money properly. There is, we're going to be launching Project Read with the Wacomico Public Library. There's going to be some educational courses at Warwick Community College. The Alice Project, which I'm very excited about. The Alice Project is going to be, is essentially for the working poor in our area, so we can start to begin to collect some demographical data, psychographic data, so we can begin to analyze that. It's going to be very important when we apply for grants to be able to have that information handy. The not-for-profit tech assurance program. So we're helping some of our partners become more efficient from a technology standpoint, continuing to invest in that, and then obviously able to reap the rewards that come with the increased efficiency. And then unfortunately, we're going to be doing some more awareness around the heroin epidemic in our area and just addiction in general. These are very much critical times for our area in regards to the opiate abuse and in regards to just addiction, and then not only the health impacts but also the financial impacts that stem from those type of situations as well. So we're going to be helping to do some more communication around that.
Great. And so do you have any final words for our viewers? How can people get involved? What is the best way to help our United Way?
Sure. Several ways. We're always looking for help on some of our various committees. There's the Holiday Ball Planning Committee, the Community Impact Committee, which we just discussed. And if anybody is ever interested in that or has any kind of thought process, really a financial bent, if you're more interested in the financial side of it or you're more interested in the operational side, please reach out to the office. That is, I cannot say enough, that is hands down one of the most rewarding volunteer experiences I've ever had. But then also, we have a very nice resource called Get Connected. So for not only our partner agencies, but for any organization in the area that wants to promote their event or their need, partner, not-for-profit, that wants to promote their event or their need, they can go through the United Way's website and be able to promote that. It's a very good distribution model there. But give the office a call. We're always looking for folks. If we don't have a particular need, that's the beauty of our agency, is that we have roughly 30 partners, so we can direct you to somebody who may need some help. And that's, again, another valuable resource of our agency.
Well, thank you, Jim, for being with us today. For more information about our United Way, you can visit www.unitedway4us.org. Thank you all for joining us today for this month's United Way update. Please watch PAC 14 streaming live on the web at www.pac14.org.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC 14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC 14 is a great way to connect with your community.